that Silicon Valley is a stressful place to call home because you live it every day in your calendar, in your commute, in your housing payment. How do you have any damn fun when all you do is work? Yeah, you come home from the office, but do you really stop working? What is the price you are paying for this Silicon Valley lifestyle? Hey everybody, welcome back to SiliCAN, your antidote to the Silicon Valley grind. I'm your host, Shana McLean-Moore, here today talking to one of my favorite people in the universe, Wendy Shiverdaker. I'm super excited to share a conversation with her, with you, because she is one of the most passionate, real, forward-moving people I know, and I know that her wisdom about what it takes to live and thrive here in the Bay Area will resonate with all of you. So welcome, Wendy.
Thank you. That was a beautiful introduction.
Well, it's all the truth.
Thank you, friend.
I know that you've grown up here much of your youth like I have, and I'm curious to hear how you think that Silicon Valley has formed you as the way you think and feel.
So I actually moved here when I was 16. Which I think makes a big difference to come here, like when you've had some years to formulate some thoughts. I came here from Oregon, and it's kind of, we call it granola there, and it's really different. And I came here and I felt a little bit lost, and it took me some time to sort of find my way. But I think,
how did the kids there, do you remember that?
They didn't respond to me very good at first. I was a little bit lost. I didn't have any friends for the first couple months until I met Carolyn. She moved here from Ohio. We just glommed onto each other because we were both strangers. It felt a little bit foreign at first.
Could you feel the kind of the pressure that I know that our kids being raised here now feel? Did you feel that back then, or?
I think I felt it more when I had my own kids. I think I was kind of clueless to the pressure until I started hearing things from my boys. I think when Ben said to me, I think I told you this before, I don't like to have birthday parties here, Mom, because we don't have a pool like everybody else. And that was the first time that it occurred to me that maybe everybody did have pools and we didn't have a pool.
Right.
So I don't think I felt a lot of that pressure until I got older.
Right. I like to always think back to when I was growing up here. I went to the same high school that Steve Jobs went to, and I'm thinking that is a really cool idea, because you learn at such an early age that you could actually start something in your garage that could end up becoming like one of the biggest businesses around, but also a little bit daunting. Like, well, if he's doing that from his garage, like, what should I be doing? So it kind of puts that pressure on you a little bit. I think like you, as a kid, I was not so concerned about it, but I'm super concerned about it as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say is like the kind of the highest price we pay for this lifestyle in raising our families?
I think the highest price is really what we lose with our spouses. That's my biggest fear. We were talking about that the other day. My biggest fear is what it does to him who's trying to bring it all together for us.
And to back things up, he's working in tech.
He's working in tech. He's been in staffing for 27 years. I was a stay-at-home parent for most of that. And watching him try and chase that dream on behalf of his family has been hard and painful for me to watch.
Right.
I think that's been harder than dealing with the kids. It really did for me.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I look at my husband, who is also working in tech, and I almost am afraid to make eye contact at the end of the day, because I know how the volume of work and the expectations that it never really should end. I still contend that these cell phones that we all have that make our life so convenient are also really the element of our demise, right? Because you're always expected to be on, and what that feels like at work every day. Like I know that. And so what do you think? Do your kids ever talk to you about what they're picking up on any of this?
Mostly the youngest one. I don't see it with Zach. Zach, not so much. Maybe a little bit with Matt, but mostly with my 17-year-old, with Ben. He just seems to be sort of trying to keep up. You know, we didn't buy him a car, but a lot of his friends got a car. I don't care so much about labels for him, but it seems to kind of matter to him. I noticed that if one of his friends has like a cool Hollister shirt, he starts talking about Hollister shirts. And so I think for him, that I see the pressure in him more than the other two.
Right.
I think with Zach, he seems to be the one finding a better balance. Now that he's graduated from college and he's working, he seems to not want to fall into that pit that he saw Jeff fall into, which is chasing the money, chasing the stock, and all of that. I think he has a better handle on it. Maddie, I'm not quite so sure yet, but Ben's one of the ones that's been affected the most. And he's been here the least, which I think is odd.
Right.
So
it'll be interesting to see how that changes with him. I was at a barbecue this weekend with some of my husband's oldest friends, and we started talking about this. You know, somebody said something that was a little bit anti-millennial, and I said, I think you've got it all wrong. I think these young people are going to kind of rectify what we've ruined here by like selling our entire soul for our career, and what that's doing to us. They see a lot of tense marriages in their parents. They see people looking lonely and just kind of numbing out with television and alcohol and whatever else. And so they're probably looking at that as like, is that really the role model? That's not what I'm striving for. But as I was talking to these old friends of my husband this weekend, they said, well, my dad worked 3 jobs and my dad did this. And I'm like, and gentlemen, how's that working for them? And how's that working for you? Like, just because our previous generations have suffered even more than we have, does that mean that that's the bar for us? Or like, is there a better way? I love the idea of these millennials kind of saving us all from ourselves. So I hope Zach is right.
I really feel like, and I talked to his friends, and they don't want to repeat the same pattern of behavior. I was talking to, I don't remember who was talking to me the other day about Jeff in particular, and watching him feel a little less than, because he never had that big stock play, never did, none of the startups that he was at hit. And maybe that's why Zach sees it, because he was more aware of all the stuff that we went through trying to make it in Silicon Valley on one income.
Right.
Maybe that's why. I think that's probably why.
Yeah,
Ben was so young, and he was kind of not tuned into any of that, and protected him from all that.
Right.
So yeah, I have hope for this generation. I do.
I know you do.
Really
that's one of the things I love talking to you about, is you're always looking at that light part. And that's exactly why I wanted to sit down with you on camera, because I wanted other people to hear too. So we talked a bit about what the struggles are to live here. And I think most people understand that, and what the constant work culture does to you. So in addition to the kind of suffering from the work pressure and that kind of the quest to hit it big, like with stock, like so many people are trying to do here to make it all feel a little easier, we haven't really talked about the housing situation and how that impacts a family. Like, have you seen people suffer from that? Is that affecting you personally?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. We couldn't afford our house. If we had to buy it today, I don't know how people are doing it. Right. I know lots of people that lost their homes. We almost lost our home back in 2009. Our story, we were like so many other people, wanted to invest everything extra that we had in our future, and bought a real estate project and lost it. And we held on to our house by the skin of our teeth, but I know a lot of people didn't, and it's terrifying to see. And there's the homeless problem has gotten so bad around here. I think the stuff that we see isn't a direct reflection of the experiences that I had. I think that's something different, but I think there are plenty of families that are living together now because they couldn't afford to be on their own, or they lost their house, they were living with their parents.
Which brings its own stresses to the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's sobering, and especially picturing how the next generation is possibly ever going to be neighbors with their family, like unless they live with them. It seems impossible.
I think a lot of people are going to do that, and I think culturally that's pretty cool for some people. That's not how I grew up.
Right.
I don't want to live with my parents. I don't want my parents living with me.
Right.
But in some cultures, I think that's neat, and that's what they expect.
Right.
You put all your eggs into the kids, and then everybody gets older, and the parents stay there, and the kids take care of the parents.
Right.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Love them dearly, but me either.
No.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about the pain points. I think that everybody knows and experiences, and I'm wondering how you make it work. You're one of the most positive people I know. Like I love how you'll tell me specifically and with great passion what sucks, but you'll also show me with great passion how you're gonna make it work. How do you think you cope so well with all the stress that surrounds us all?
These guys, the balance. And when you came up with this right here, that's what I've been striving for. My community, my health is super important to me. Exercise is my therapy. and just keeping it in balance. That's really important. So I always exercise. I started my new job 4 weeks ago. I can't go to the gym anymore during the week. So I told you, I just bought my same exercise program that I do at the gym. I bought it to do at home. I have to keep doing that for myself. My health is super important. I'm so tired at the end of a long week now, but I still have to be with my friends. I still have to make time to be a part of my community. Volunteering is so important to me.
Yes.
I love my volunteer opportunities. And again, it's exhausting, but it fills me up and kind of wakes me up.
Right.
You know, it's easy to sit back and say, oh, I've worked 50 hours this week. I don't want to do that. But you know what? It's doing that that's regenerating to me. That makes me feel good and gives me energy to go back out on Monday again. Start it all over again. I'm new, though. I mean, I'm new at the whole work full-time thing, so I don't know.
Tell everybody what you're doing.
So I just bought a farmer's insurance agency from a gentleman that's retiring after 41 years, and I am now in charge 5 days a week, 7 days a week.
Which is another thing I love about her, because let's just face it, we're not like 25 years old anymore.
No,
and
that's 30.
To go start her own business at our mature, seasoned age is like a big, brave thing that takes a ton of energy. Like, your hours are staggering of what you're putting into it, but you're doing it with great passion and grace and balance, as you said. I really admire that, because some days when I'm lying on the couch, I'm like, how's your day? I'm like, I've been on this couch for an hour, but you're still going. And I'm like, wow, that's it's a lot, and you're doing it all really well. And I think that balance is exactly, I think so many of us, when we start these things, we tend to just go all in. It's kind of it's no different than a tech startup, right? Like, this is your new business. So it's so easy to go all in on it and just get the blinders on and focus strictly on that. But one of the beauties of being not 25 years old is probably having the life experience to reflect back on what's worked for you and what hasn't worked for you. And you know in your heart that the exercise component is not only good for your body, but it's great for your psyche as well. So keeping that up is so important, as is keeping a village of friends.
Community is everything. My girlfriends are everything. You get me through all the bumpy times and share all the joys. I haven't told you this, I decided this week, when I took on this adventure, however long ago I took it on, a year and a half ago I started, I said I was going to be the #1 salesperson in the district. I was going to hold that spot. I was going to get awards, and I'm not going to be that anymore. I've decided.
No, let them have it.
I'm just going to be good. I'm going to put my heart and soul into my job. I'm going to build a team of passionate people that want the next great adventure in their life that as I'm looking for. And I'm just going to be good at it. But I don't have to be the best, because maybe being the best means I have to give up too much.
Right.
And I don't want that. I want to have my relationship with my children, my husband, my friends, my health, my community. So I decided that this week.
I think that's beautiful. I think that should be the bar for everyone. I don't know if that launches the next greatest company of all time and makes you Steve Jobs, but it does make you
pretty cool.
Like, to me, the goal is to love your life, right? I think that so many of us define success in the wrong way. I think it's all, people think of the accolades and the money, but really that's not sustainable. If you keep grinding like that, you wear yourself out. You alienate yourself from the people that you love because you don't give them any time or energy. And you neglect your health, and next thing you know, you've got diabetes, heart disease, some broken back, in my case. So you do all that. There's always a price to pay if you don't choose balance. I don't think balance is optional. So to see you in a position right now, I mean, balance is easy when you know your work and you know the flow of your week and your days. But when you're starting something new, of course, it's a whole different ballgame. You're like, damn, now to fit these other things in is a big deal.
It is hard. The first few weeks, I didn't do anything else. I went to work, I came home, I worked some more, I went to bed. And I would work out once or twice on the weekends, and that was it. So I'm making my bed every day again, which makes me feel good. I'm packing my lunch now, making my coffee, and all that feels like I'm in control of it. That the work isn't just taking me over, that it's just a part of my life.
Right.
So finding that. And I have the luxury of doing that, and I know not everybody does.
Right.
Because I have a husband that's working to support me. But I tell you what, he's got a spring in his step and a smile on his face.
You're sharing the load.
I'm sharing the load now.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be a part of a generation of widows. And I think about that stuff. And I mean, I know that's going dark.
It
go dark sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing this.
That's beautiful.
It's pretty fun too. I love it.
Well, I know one of the other things that we share is a love of writers and thinkers who inspire us. And one of our greatest adventures was traveling down to LA to see this woman named Glennon Doyle, who is an activist. She used to be known as a mommy blogger, but then she's become this activist. And some of the wonderful things she said have been so inspiring to both of us that we totally,
So fun.
we made these signs that said Glennon Groupie.
Yeah.
And we were the only people that did something like that. So we looked a little extra. And so
looked a little stalkerish.
yeah, well, that was at the end, right?
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that
So
part.
we went to the thing ends like this was like going to see a concert
Yeah,
or something,
it was.
where the fans waiting. And this author is known to be such an introvert, but we didn't care about her needs. We cared about our own. So we waited for her to come out of the building, but we were the only people that did that.
Yeah, we were.
And so we had our little signs, and we approached her for a picture, and I think we scared the
I
death
think
out
we
of her.
scared the hell out of her.
Anyway, one of the many lessons we learned from her is that she says, where does your heart hurt? What makes your heart hurt the most? That's where you're called to make a difference. And so when I think of that, I think a lot about you and your volunteer work with the Princess Project. So can you tell everybody about what the Princess Project is and why you chose that for a place to give your energy and time?
The Princess Project is a nonprofit organization that we provide prom dresses to girls that can't afford them. Been around 14 years. Last year we served 1,359 girls proudly.
Yes.
And I led a team of, I think there were 8 of us, and we got all the donations. We had 8,000 donations last year.
Wow.
Mostly new dresses. And it is everything to me to stand next to a young lady and watch her blossom. So many people don't see their beauty. They're trying to measure themselves against a size that they see in their jeans or a magazine picture or their friend. And it's so rewarding to stand next to a young lady and a guy too, but specifically young ladies, and watch them feel beautiful, sometimes for the first time. And I get to be a part of that. And it is a huge piece of my heart and my year, and I love it very much.
I remember, so I'm a day volunteer,
Yes.
as you know, and you're on the committee, so I get to see you like lead the charges, and I see how you light up, and it's exhausting work. It's very physical. You're on your feet all day and really giving of yourself to some girls who are shy and reluctant, but just to see how that affects you is something like that I'll always remember. I think
It's magical. And this year we had girls, I told you, from the blind school, which was challenging but amazing. They could see a little bit, some of them, and it was so wonderful. And we had, I think I told you, we had a girl that was homeless that was living in her van this year. That rocked my world.
you were very emotional.
I was emotional. I walked out to talk to her mom, and the things in her van were piled up so high in the back that she was sitting up high, and her mom was in the front seat, and there was stuff all over the driver's seat. And we wanted to interview her. And there was a smell that came from the van. They had animals, and I went back inside, and I couldn't stop crying. I was really rocked my world. And she, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about her story. She worked, she was educated, and then she lost her job, and then,
This is the mom.
The mom, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, 3 or 4 years of her cut and pay and cut and pay and cut and pay, and she couldn't afford to live anymore.
Well,
It's devastating. So anyway,
very sobering.
Princess Project is amazing, and I encourage anybody looking for a volunteer opportunity to come out and help us. You don't have to work with the girls. There's a lot of jobs you can do, and you can do it year round, but it's amazing.
I love the way you give, where that speaks to your heart the most, because it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like a passion. Right?
It is. Well, and I think I do it because for a lot of years, I didn't ever feel beautiful as a young person. I remember the first time my mom said something positive about the way that I looked. And so, and actually, I still have the shirt. Have I told you this? I still have a shirt that I wore. I was a sophomore in high school, and I walked into class one day, and everybody was kind of like, wow, Wendy, you look so pretty today. And it was the first time that I felt like maybe I was okay. I had curly hair, and all my friends had straight hair, and I wanted to be like everybody else. And that day, I think it was the first time I felt like I was okay. Yeah. And I have that shirt in my closet. It's like that big. I have it in my closet, and I look at it.
While we're on this subject, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about joy, because one of the things I like to talk to my clients about each week is focusing on the balance, on these 4 key areas of self. One of them being your career development, one on how you take care of yourself physically, another is the relationships that you maintain, and the 4th being your joy. And I think a lot of people get stumped there because they're so tapped out from the work and perhaps the working out and the caring for their family that they feel like joy is sort of a luxury item that they can't afford. And they look at me like, Shana, really? Like joy? What would my joy be? And I think that's really kind of scary because I think it's so easy to get resentful of the people around you and the work you have to do if you don't ever get any joy. So I think we all need to be able to list that, like I say, five activities that bring you joy. And the reason that you need to be able to list them is because then when you find yourself with this narrow window of time and you recognize that it's important to serve your spirit, that it will be easy to tap into one of those activities that is known to lift your spirit. So I know what my 5 are. I probably even know what your 5 are, but let's hear them from you. What are your 5?
Not people, activities, right?
It could be whatever brings you joy.
Well, my family brings me joy most of the time. Mm-hmm. But no, 5, my dog brings me so much joy because he gets me out. I love walking my dog, hiking with my dog, shopping. Immense amounts of joy.
Yes, you are a really good shopper.
Shopping.
And your polka dot dress today really speaks to that.
Shopping for other people actually gives me more joy than shopping for myself. I would rather take you shopping than go for me. I love that. Spending time with my sister, spending time with my girlfriends. That's just everything. I love that. Volunteering, Princess Project is huge joy. I get joy from cooking sometimes too, but I like cooking for other people.
Yeah.
Exercising at the gym, my community there is so important to me. Sometimes I actually get joy from cleaning my house. I know that's weird.
Yep.
But
yep.
I do. I like to, it just feels good to sit back and
have things under control.
Yard work brings me joy. I love working in my yard.
I never thought I would say that yard work, pulling weeds, stumped over, hurting my back, but I love the results, and I love like using my body in this time when we all seem to sit in chairs all the live long day to get out there and have another reason to move and have such beautiful results. I totally agree with you. You have a long list of joys.
I have a lot more too, but I won't go on about it.
Well, and music. You love music.
I love
and theater. Theater,
theater and books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, gee, go figure. It's not a big surprise to me that you would have 10 joys when I only asked for 5, but I think that speaks a lot to you, like who you are and why you're so fun to be around. The other thing I like to talk to my clients about is, we already talked about balance a little bit, but there are 2 other P's. So there's balance and there are boundaries. And I think we talk about this a lot, about being really mindful of who and what you let into your life and who and what you purposely push out of your life. Mm-hmm. How is that easier for you now that we're a little bit older, like to be?
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I still have to work at it. Like I have someone in my office that's not been very welcoming to me, and my instinct is not to set my boundaries. At first I have to step back, so I'm learning to set my boundaries.
Yeah.
But it's definitely easier. Definitely. I say no more now.
Yeah.
I never said no before. Sure, I can do it. Sure, I can do it. No, I say no a lot.
That's great. I'm trying to teach my daughters that in their 20s, like, even though this is going to probably bite me in the ass because I'm encouraging you to have a boundary against me. Like, hey, you want to come to dinner Sunday night? No. Oh, wait, rude. Not a boundary there. But really, like, you have to advocate for yourself. I have young clients who will say, well, I made plans to do this with my boyfriend, but then my parents needed me to do blah, blah, blah. And these are adults. And I'm thinking, but you've got to serve your relationship too. You have to tell your parents, as hard as it is to disappoint them, that I'll help you at like 4 p.m. because I have plans earlier in the day. So I think those boundaries help us like our life better because we kind of get to do more of what we want to do.
My mom gave me permission, I'm sorry to interrupt you, to change my mind the other day. I was supposed to go to this concert with Jeff. I was so dreading it because I was so tired from work. I went, ended up having the best time as he told me that I would. But she said, you know what, it's okay to change your mind. When you commit to something, you're committing to something with the information that you have that moment. Things change. Totally. And I'm thinking about that a lot. Now that I'm working full time and it's all so new to me, and I maybe said yes a couple months ago to something, it's like the Princess Project. I'm still involved in the Princess Project. I'm just stepping back a few hours. on a monthly basis, because now that's a little bit too much given my current situation.
Right.
And it's okay to change your mind.
Absolutely.
And that was another great life lesson from Mom.
Yeah.
So,
I think I even have those boundaries when it comes to getting text messages or calls. I sometimes when I'm like in the middle of something and the phone rings or a text comes through, and I think, I have to respond.
do it, right?
And then I think, wait a minute, that person reached out to me when it was convenient for them. I'll reach out to them when it's convenient for me, because right now I'm in the middle of this other thing, and I'm so trying to like.
That's why you're not responding to my text messages anymore.
Sometimes.
And now when you're watching Survivor
or the
Bachelor.
Yeah.
That's why.
And then the third, what about the content part of boundaries? Are you discerning about what you bring in for entertainment as far as how that affects your mind?
Yeah, I don't watch movies anymore that have violence. I can't take it anymore. There's too much violence in the world, and it just, the older that I get, the easier it is to raise my anxiety level, which you would think would be different, but I think because of aging and menopause, it's not. So I kind of live with a little bit of that on the edge anyway. So I don't want to do anything that just adds to that.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah, the evening news does a fine job of that, right?
I don't even like to do that anymore. I try and stay away from as much of that as I can.
Yeah, like take in a little bit and then let it out and fill it in with some light and positivity. Otherwise, like we all go down with the ship, right? We have to keep our sense of hope and positivity alive so that we can be of service and not another broken person, right?
And it breaks me quickly.
Yeah, me
with
too.
the Gilroy thing the other day, I was just like sullen.
Yeah.
Like how could this be happening here?
Yeah.
Just on TV. Now it's here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do.
On the note of that, the Gilroy shooting, at Anchor Psychology, we are offering a free first session to those people that were directly affected by that, to help with some of the healing right here in our community. And it's sobering to all of us. It's scary.
It's painful. It's overwhelming because I don't know what to do about it. So
yeah,
I think it's great you guys are doing something here. That's a start.
Right.
That's just to reach out.
Yes. And then I think, and I always advocate, I know it seems simplistic, but I think that by really noticing people, I feel like so many people feel lonely in this valley. And when that loneliness converts into a sense of isolation, I think that's when people become the most dangerous.
I agree.
But to finish on a bit of the light, like I think that the boundaries that we talk about having that desire to edit what you allow in, to filter it so that you can be sure to leave room for light, to kind of balance out the heaviness of some of the world events around us. And then the third way I would say that we all need to, the third B that we all need to practice in order to like our lives better is to be brave.
Not fear.
Not fear. Fear helps. That's like a solid fourth. Okay. But third is bravery. And the first way I always say we need to do that is being our authentic self, which you have done, which was how I was drawn to you to begin with, right? You're like, this is me, love it or leave it, and I love it. Love you. And the second way is in taking risks, which again, nudging ourselves forward for growth. We've done this for each other, encouraged each other to try new big, brave things and have adventures. So tell us where people can find you. Where is your office?
My office is on 393 East Campbell Avenue, downtown Campbell. There's a ton of restaurants. I always say it's a good location for business, maybe not so good for my waistline.
Well, you're packing your lunch now. You've got it all under control. So, yeah. That's right. Oh, well, I know that anyone who visits you and has you take care of them and with their insurance needs is with someone with great integrity and great heart for people. And so I know that business will come to you. It's evident in everything that you are. And so I'm glad for people to be able to step in and work with you.
Hope they're patient with me as I learn.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.